Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is taking a lot of heat from Republicans after he told Punch Bowl News this about the shutdown, quote, "Every day gets better for us," unquote. He's talking about the politics of this all. What did you think of that statement, "Every day gets better for us"?
Well, I think what Leader Schumer was referring to was the growing public support for Democrats and Republicans to come together to fix this healthcare crisis and to reopen government.
Yeah, that's probably it. That's a lie by a transgender Democrat who's a member of the House of Representatives, whose name is Tim McBride, but he says, "Call me Sarah. Call me Sarah." That's right. A Democrat who served 2 terms, Jake Tapper, of course, on CNN, teeing it up. What do you think Chuck Schumer means when he says we need to burn this whole country to the ground and kill everybody in it? Well, Jake, he's talking about unity and bringing people together, don't you know? And that's the tranny that looks like the dude had breasts installed and says, "I'm Sarah McBride." Now, a Democrat congressman from none other than Delaware. Isn't that great? Tim McBride, who likes to be called Sarah. How many? We've had a lot of trannies in the news lately, normally involving shootings at schools and shooting Charlie Kirk, assassinating 1 month ago today. It was the 10th, of September. At a Democrat with a boyfriend who thinks he's his girlfriend shot and murdered Charlie Kirk. There was another giant Turning Point USA rally yesterday, thousands and thousands, and it was like 10% of the population of the city. Maybe it was 5% of the population of the city that showed up for the Turning Point USA. And by the way, I need to correct this because I went back and forth on this. On Wednesday, I learned off of Al Gore's amazing internet, peace be upon him, that Turning Point USA was going to be hosting and airing an alternative to the Super Bowl halftime show with that guy. He's a tranny, right? Yeah, Bad Bunny. That's a transgender name if I've ever heard one. And he's an America-hating lefty who's from Puerto Rico. And Bad Bunny is going to be the Bad Bunny halftime show. And they're so excited because he hates America and he hates Donald Trump. So the filthies who keep shooting people, they're very excited to have Bad Bunny doing the halftime show. And it was all over the internet day before yesterday and the day before that Turning Point USA would be hosting and airing on Al Gore's amazing internet and alternative on their channel. An alternative halftime show, so you could turn your TV off during the halftime show and take away their ratings and not put it on in your household with Bad Bunny, the anti-American fraud commie pig dog. And then yesterday I came in and I said, listen, I did fact checks on this Turning Point USA doing an alternate halftime show, and all the fact checks said there is no such scheduled halftime show by Turning Point USA. So I said that yesterday. And then I left the studio, and about half an hour after I left the studio, I think, Michael Piercy texted me that, hey, Turning Point USA just put out a statement saying that they are going to host a Turning Point USA halftime show, an alternate halftime show. And so I think everybody should watch the alternative halftime show, at least turn off the network for the halftime show. Now, this happened yesterday afternoon. Huge announcement in a tweet announcement. It's true. Turning Point USA is thrilled to announce the All-American halftime show. They've got their All-American because the Democrats, the networks, they've got their anti-American halftime show. You know how the commies are. Then they're probably going to loot everything. They might loot the stadium and all that stuff. And so we've got that going for us. But it's true. Turning Point USA is thrilled to announce the All-American halftime show. Performers and event details coming soon. This came out yesterday afternoon. The American halftime show. So that's good stuff. Good stuff indeed. Yes, sir. And I will keep my ear to the ground on that as it progresses. Womp, womp, womp. So the The President of the United States, also very busy, and he's putting out statements on Truth Social that I'm taking in for you here. I will share them with you as is appropriate. And also Melania Trump. Melania Trump came out, and she's working with Russia to reunite Ukrainian children with their parents because the communists, Vlad the Impaler Putin, a communist, KGB, Stasi, commie, stole, 20,000 children from Ukraine. And now the First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump, is just a wonderful First Lady and a beautiful First Lady, announcing that she's getting to work on getting the children back from the commies in Russia, and at least the commie Putin, and getting them back to their families and their parents in Ukraine. Joe Biden, on the other hand, they lost 300,000 children in the United States. They're perfectly typical of lefties everywhere you look, aren't they? Yes, they are. So that's going on there. Yes, sir. I've got you. The Democrats, Caroline Leavitt, on her Twitter account, her X account. Wow, she writes, and she's posting a CNN headline. Another senior Democratic aide said as long as public perception is in their favor, the party will not concede short of, quote, planes falling out of the sky. So this is the Democrat Party's winning message, and Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, posting the CNN headline that the Democrats are going to keep the government closed until there are planes falling out of the sky. When thousands of Americans are killed, then maybe the Democrats will think about reopening the government. But that's the CNN headline, and Caroline Leavitt posted the CNN headline on her Twitter account, press secretary at Twitter account, and she said, wow, the Democrats are now saying that unless, quote, planes are falling out of the sky, end quote, because of air traffic controller staffing shortages, they will not end their government shutdown. One of the most disgusting statements I've ever read, said Caroline Leavitt. And that's pretty good stuff. Man, oh man. Yes, sir. They've got that. That's your Democrat Party. They are not on our side. All right, now I tell you, we've got too many big stories, of course, but there's also a new documentary film coming out on the First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump, and the Daily Beast has a headline, Amazon releases first look at controversial Melania documentary. Why would it be controversial, you gang of street prostitutes? Honestly. Just amazing, these people. Amazon MGM's Melania Trump documentary to be released in theaters in January. Why talk about it? January's so far away. Just wait till it gets real close. And will it be a slime job? Well, the media will do a slime job on the documentary if it's not a slime job. You know how that works. That's your Democrat Party. Melania Trump also holding an event today, announcement that Christmas preparations for the White House. I don't think it's going to look like a New Orleans house of ill repute the way that it did during the Jill Biden era, where they had their ridiculous. What didn't they have, like the House of Satan? They love Satan. Those people. We got that now. But let me get to the next story, because there are a lot of crazy things that the Democrats have visited upon us in the last 21 hours. But the Democrats are just bad news everywhere you go. I've got a story you see about the guy that murdered somebody in a road rage incident. This one is pretty amazing. And what he got, probation? Got probation. Isn't that amazing? Also, I mentioned this earlier, but I want to share this because it matters. The Democrats have nominated a communist jihadi, Zohran Mamdani, the commie, to become the next mayor of New York City. And the headline today is at Realtor.com. Listen to this. New York City's suburbs heat up as residents move in anticipation of a Mamdani win. And New York City suburban housing markets are heating up in anticipation of the upcoming mayoral election on November 4th. Zohran Mamdani, also known as Mamdani the Commie, a Democratic socialist, is leading in the polls, and now the field has one less candidate, with incumbent Mayor Eric Adams dropping out of the race last weekend. Mamdani's housing policies have some wealthy residents eyeing the exits to the suburbs. Zach and Heather Harrison, Westchester County-based real estate agents, they say that they're number one in their area, representing the Harrison team, named for them, for Zach and Heather Harrison, at Compass Real Estate, are already tracking a spike in Manhattan residents reaching out about suburban properties. We are absolutely seeing a correction between Zohran Mamdani's surprise win in the Democratic primary and an uptick in real estate interest in Westchester County, Zach and Heather tell Realtor.com. Since the summer, nearly every buyer from the city we've taken out to see homes in Westchester has mentioned the mayoral election as one of the drivers for shopping in the suburbs. Now, the prices are going up. The real estate agents are busy. These two agents I saw on television this morning, they're talking about how busy they are because people are already fleeing the city of New York. So they've got that going for them because the commies are here. Isn't that amazing? Now, we've got that. And also, this is a crazy poll the Daily Caller has. Your Democrat neighbors share Jay Jones's fantasies of political violence. Virginia Attorney General candidate, Democrat Jay Jones' disturbing text messages shocked many, but they reflect a growing sentiment among some left-leaning voters, according to a statement and screenshots shared with the Daily Caller. The Family Foundation Action, FFA, a faith-based organization in Virginia, recently alerted voters via text about the alarming messages reportedly sent by Jones. The Democrat candidate sent them to Republican Delegate Kerry Coyner in 2022, saying he would give former Republican Virginia House Speaker Todd Gilbert 2 bullets to the head and then urinate on his grave. He was not so delicate. Then he talked about his children being killed. And it turns out they posted it. They've gotten lots of texts from Democrats saying, I'll do the same to you, and I want more of the same, and I'll kill all the MAGA people, because the Democrat Party is criminally insane. Now, let's go to the absurdity of Letitia James. Let's go to Letitia James from 2018, when she was running to become the Attorney General, running for office to become the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of New York. And she was promising to abuse, very openly, to abuse her power as Attorney General, Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the state of New York, to target her political nemesis, Donald Trump.
As the next Attorney General, I see the law as a sword and as a shield to protect those who are vulnerable, because no one is above the law, including this illegitimate president. And so, I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, defending your rights, and then going home.
Suing him, defending your rights, and then going home. Tish James was a community organizer like Barack Obama in 2018.
I say one name, Donald Trump. That should motivate you.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the He's going to know my name personally.
Targeting him, and then she was elected by criminals who are violent lunatics. They're called Democrats. And then what? And then she targeted President Trump and brought him into court and tried to put him in prison and tried to fleece him of $500 million on the Democrats. And now she has been charged with crimes, and you'll never believe how her tune has changed. Wait till you hear her yesterday after learning she's been charged. And then the news media people, too. Boy, it's good to be a Democrat. Fluffers that they are. Did you know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier has arrived, and it builds on the incredible success of the previous generations, which earned thousands of five-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet? The new thunderstorm uses two technologies that studies have shown help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air around your house, your office, wherever you go. It removes dust and pet stuff floating in the air and smoke and a whole lot more. It keeps the air clean, the air that you breathe, that your family breathes, and you don't have to buy filters to replace again and again either. The thunderstorm's only this big. You can hold it in your hand just like this. The thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell guaranteed. I'm talking about trash cans, litter boxes, cigarette smoke, liberal protesters, musty basements. No match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. And right now, you can save $200 American on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection because you and I hang out together. So put one in your basement, your bedroom, your teenager's room, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code CHRIS3, CHRIS and the number 3 to save $200 on 3 thunderstorms. They make great gifts, too. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Chris and the number 3. Yes, sir. All right, yeah, we've got more. Tish James, what do you hear is the hypocrisy, the double standards, the lack of functioning memory. I'll explain coming up. I committed an error earlier. And Jeff on phones today just informed me that Rick called in to correct me on something, and I always want to correct me on something if I have to correct me on something. I was referring to the Democrat lunatic in Virginia running for governor, and I said, yeah, she was at the Naval Academy, but wasn't allowed to graduate, wasn't allowed to walk when she was graduating because she was involved in a cheating scandal. But I was wrong. I had the wrong Democrat crook running for office, and I'm thankful that because, you know, our brilliant listeners follow the news better than Jake Tapper does. And it's the New Jersey Democrat running for governor, not the Virginia Democrat running for governor. It's, you know, Mikey Sherrill, barred from walking at the U.S. Naval Academy graduation because she was caught up in a cheating scandal at the Naval Academy. But when you're a Democrat, that's not on your permanent record. That doesn't bother the New York Times or the Washington Post. But it's Rick, and I believe it's Rick that called in. And I want to say thank you because I don't want to say anything that's not technically, perfectly correct and true. And so I misspoke, and now I've corrected myself. It's Mikey Sherrill, barred from walking at U.S. Naval Academy graduation over cheating scandal. And the Democrats like that. Hey, she's already a proven cheater. Let's put her in the governor's mansion where you can rely on her to continue to cheat year after year. That's what they like. But the crook in Virginia, that's a horse of a different color.
Financial frauds are not victimless crimes.
Ah, yes. Well, that was then. This is now. Now that she is charged with financial crimes, Letitia James has a different song to sing. The New Yorker. And also, because her name came up, I also want to go back in a minute to the Democrat running for governor in New Jersey, because she is Mikey Sherrill, Mikie. Is she Mikey or Mickey? I really don't care. I hope that we never hear from her again, that she loses and that the Republican wins. Schiaparelli, because he seems like a pretty normal guy. But the Democrat slandered him last night in their debate, and he is now suing her for this slanderous attack, and I want to get to that in a couple of minutes as well. But let's go back to the big lie from Tish James, and she has now been charged with financial fraud, and it should be a very long list of crimes. But it is she claimed that she lived in Virginia when she lived in New York, and she did it in order to cheat on her taxes and to cheat the bank and get a lower interest rate for the home that she purchased in Virginia. She has now been charged with bank fraud, one charge, and charged with false statements to a financial institution, a second charge. And she can get 500 years in penitentiary for each charge. Not really, but I think that it is possible to get 5 years for each charge. Now, let's go to Tish James say, I'm a community organizer, and I'm going to sue him. I'm going to target Trump. I'm going to get him. I'm going to be a pain in his ass, she said. That's what she said. And she said, as AG, I see the law as a sword. And she said sword. She didn't say sword. She said sword, like the first time she ever read the word, like a 5-year-old. Hey, do you say sword? Well, most people just say sword, but you can pronounce it sword if you want.
As the next Attorney General, I see the law as a sword and as a shield.
A sword and as a shield. So she's going to go to war and use the Attorney General's job as a weapon and then defend herself, of course, with the shield, to attack the political enemies of the communists, of which she is one, Letitia James. And then she did, in fact, target President Trump with lawfare and lawless lawfare. Honestly, Tish James, then yesterday, number 3 is from yesterday, right? I'm sorry, I apologize. There it is. And she said, Oh, yeah, but we didn't get to her chant because number 4. We didn't do that, did we? Oh, well, let's do that because here's Tish James attacking Donald Trump and the Trump administration because she's a devout racist. First and foremost, always racist.
Stand up to an administration which is too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male, too pale, too stale. We will not go away silently.
These people should be dwelling in caves and pits. They, honestly, too male, the Trump administration, too pale, meaning white, because she's a devout, filthy racist, as the Democrat Party has always been, since their boy Jefferson Davis was in charge of their Confederate States of America, which they are forming again. And too stale, because they desperately need everything to rhyme, like they're living in cardboard boxes, in bus stops, in rainy cities. They're quite unbelievable. All right, now let's go to number 5. So she's a racist, a sexist. That's misandry, by the way, her anti-male approach. Too pale, she's a filthy racist, which is fine with the New York Times and CNN because they're racist too. As long as you're a Democrat racist, that's a good kind of and that's always been the racist. They created the KKK, and every Jim Crow law was a Democrat law. And a Democrat shot and killed Martin Luther King, but never mind that. A communist shot and killed John F. Kennedy, the only Democrat, the president to have ever been assassinated. Now let's go to Letitia James yesterday, because now it's, now again, she's on videotape. The news media will never show it to you. I just played the audio portion because I'm on the radio and can't play the video portion because I'm on the radio. But she announced that she would target President Trump, ran on that as a campaign theme, and Democrats voted for her because she promised to go after President Trump, and then she did, using the full force of the Attorney General's position in the state of New York, to target her political nemesis, her political foe, and she targeted him and then abused her power up the yin-yang to target Donald Trump. And Letitia James has now been charged with 2 crimes because here's the paperwork. You can look at it. She lied that her primary residence was in Virginia. It's right here. It's right here in the paperwork. But when you're a Democrat like Hunter Biden and stuff, the news media, they just sweep it under the rug for you. They edit that out, and it doesn't become an issue because they're the third world. The left brings with them the third world, and the Democrat Party is the left, and therefore the Democrat Party in the United States is the third world, and they're turning our country into a third world beepole with all their Venezuelan gang members, Tren de Aragua, and their MS-13 gang members, Salvador. They go down and have lunch with him because they love wife beaters, especially when they're pregnant, because Kilmore Abrego Garcia was beating his pregnant baby mama. Then she married him with bulletproof glass between them because he was in prison. And then he beat her again when he got out of prison. And he's a hero of the Democrat Party. And he's the human trafficker, but never mind that. The Democrats don't want to prosecute him. They want to prosecute Donald Trump, who they shot once, tried to shoot a second time. Here's Letitia James yesterday. These charges have nothing. It's right there in the documentation. The news media could make videotape of the documents, show it on television, say here is where she committed crimes, but they won't. Here's Letitia James.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. I stand strongly behind my office's litigation against the Trump Organization.
The Trump Organization and President Trump personally. Honestly, desperate weaponization is what you ran on, what you were elected for by the filthies that are allowed to vote in the state of New York. And this is retribution. You didn't have anything, nothing had been committed against you that would have allowed the word retribution to be used. You're just a political extremist, a fanatic who targeted the Democrat Party's political enemies and abused your power to do it. CNN's Manderson Pooper. You know, Manderson Pooper, Pooper. Bum-ba-dum-bum-ba-dum-ba-dum. So here is Manderson Pooper talking about Letitia James and what she ran on.
According to PolitiFact, the day after she was elected in 2018, Letitia James was asked by a community activist if she was going to sue President Trump, and she replied, quote, "Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass. He's going to know my name personally." I mean, that's not a great look for somebody who has just been elected or just been campaigning, who hasn't even looked, I guess, at deeply at any evidence.
Deeply at any evidence. He's using the most gentle terminology that he can muster. Isn't that amazing? She's been indicted now on bank fraud charges and on false statements to a financial institution, lying about her location. She's required to live in the state of New York as Attorney General. She lied and said she lived in Virginia. She didn't live in Virginia. And that's just fine with Manderson Pooper and the people at CNN. And they're not saying, well, here are the charges, and here's what she did, and here's the video of her promising to go after Trump before she was elected, and then after he said, but he talks about it once and said, well, and it's not a good look. And that's not a good look, right? It's not a felony abuse of power by a Democrat Attorney General, state of New York. It's just not a good look. It's good to be a Democrat. Casey Hunt is her name. She is an anchor girl on CNN, which used to be a news organization. And last night they were talking about the then looming indictment of Tish James.
What Tish James, and again, we're still getting the details, but if it's related to this mortgage issue, I mean, this is something that everyone in America, or many people at least, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in America, you deal with this, right? The federal government doesn't go after all of these people for doing this.
Everybody does it.
Does that play a role here? I mean, how often has there been a federal indictment for a bank fraud type of situation like the one we see here?
Yeah, everyone does it. Everyone commits bank fraud. Everyone commits, makes false statements to financial institutions. If you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in America, which hundreds of millions of people are, then you, of course, lie to your bank when you get a loan in order to squeeze and cheat a lower interest rate. And you, of course, commit bank fraud. And this is now, that's not the way Casey Hunt talked about Donald Trump when it was Tish James accusing Donald Trump of committing bank fraud. And there was no plaintiff in the Donald Trump mortgage fiasco that the Democrats ginned up. All the banks said, no, we're perfectly happy with the relationship we've had with Donald Trump. He paid everything on time. We charged him interest. It was all great. Everything he told us was true. There is no fraud committed there. Every bank that he worked with, and there are many of them on deals big and small, no big deal. But that doesn't come up when you get your news from CNN. Also, soundbite I want to share with you today on this Friday. MSDNC, that's MS13DNC. They've got a I think he's a cross-dresser, Chris Hayes. He's an anchorman there. He's got a TV show. He's talking to Hakeem Jeffries, and this is pretty amazing there. He's talking about using political power for revenge. This is the Democrat, and I was looking at him yesterday with my best girl, and I said to my best girl, look at Hakeem Jeffries' face. He looks like a criminal, doesn't he? I mean, if you didn't know he was the Democrat leader in the House and you saw him on a bus or on a street corner, you'd walk away from that creep because he's got a face that looks like a criminal's face. He's got the criminal brow, phrenology and all that stuff. Looks like a criminal. But here's the criminal, Hakeem Jeffries. He's a jihadi. He hates the Jews. He was raised by a virulent anti-Semite. His uncle, Professor Leonard Jeffries, famous Jew hater from way back. Here's Hakeem Jeffries with Chris Hayes yesterday. Says, well, they better wait because when we take over, we're going to use all the power that we have to target our political enemies and put them all in prison just like we did in the Soviet Union.
You put a statement out in response to the news of Tish James's indictment in which you said, among other things, that those sycophants who aid and abet the president's vengeful schemes will not be able to hide from serious legal consequences of their behavior. They will be held accountable. What do you mean by that?
There are so many different corrupt sycophants within the Trump administration, including but not limited to within the Department of Justice. And the reality is the statute of limitations is 5 years.
The statute?
And there will be accountability with the next administration, if not before, when Democrats take back control of the House of Representatives.
I'm sorry, it's a statute of limitations, not a statue, which you guys tear down all over the country like the Taliban that you are. And see, now, if anybody's held accountable, President Trump did run on holding people accountable that have obviously committed crimes out in the light of day, including Tish James abusing her powers as Attorney General of New York. And here's the paperwork to show that she committed these crimes. Also, in the last couple of days, I have shared with you the long, long list. When you print it out, I think it's 3 pages long on printer paper of Republicans that were targeted by the Democrats. Remember Fannie Willis in Atlanta, Georgia, where she had that jail where 3 people a month die in the jail or something crazy like that. And she put President Trump in that jail and the mug shots and all that. And because he questioned the integrity of the voting in the state of Georgia. And so she put him in jail, put him in handcuffs, had that big showboat thing, right? And now the Democrat leader in the House of Representatives, Hakeem, the jihadi, he's promising revenge, revenge, revenge. Those sycophants who aid and abet the president will not be able to hide from serious legal consequences. Now, imagine if President Trump said they won't be able to, all the Democrats won't be able to hide from serious legal consequences. They will be held accountable. But you don't want Democrats who obviously abused their positions of power in Atlanta, Georgia, and the state of New York to be held accountable. No accountability there, right? Now, the long, long list of people that the Democrats arrested under Joe Biden, beginning with Donald Trump. And again, Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, who they put in leg shackles at Reagan Airport and handcuffs. Honestly, the list is too long. Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, John Eastman, Sidney Powell, attorneys, office holders, Jenna Ellis. All these people, long, long list. I'm still scrolling through it on my iPad, and it just goes on of all the people that they threw in prison. And then if you say, well, we're going to hold them accountable for their abuses of power, then the Democrat communist left-wing response is, you just wait. We will find revenge. We will exact revenge. But wait a minute. Then isn't what the Trump administration is doing now just as legitimate as what you're promising to do the next time you guys have power? You third world banana republic primates. And Chris Hayes doesn't raise any of that because he's not a journalist. He's a Democrat Party bootlick, a sycophant. And MS-13, DNC, and NBC network. I'd stop allowing NBC into the White House. I'd take away all their White House passes, their credentials. Say you're no longer an accredited news organization. You're a political organization. You're NBC. You're no longer welcome in federal government buildings that require press credentials because you're not legitimate members of the press.
The statute of limitations is 5 years, and there will be accountability when Democrats take back control of the House of Representatives.
It's not a statute. I was just telling Michael Piercy about our delicious dinner at home last night with our bone-in veal chops, big, thick ones, breaded. Best girl cooked them in my grandfather's iron skillet, made potatoes Romanoff, like shaved out of a giant cheese grater, like hash browns, and with some cheese and a baked crispy, unbelievably good asparagus. It was just crazy good. It was nuts, absolutely nuts. And today's my best girl's birthday, so I'm taking her out to dinner somewhere because no cooking at home tonight, I think. All right, let's enough about me. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Sarah calling from Rockford, Illinois, listening on the great WROK. Sarah, you are on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, thank you so much for taking my call, and happy birthday to your best girl.
Why, thank you.
Libras are the best. I just celebrated my birthday 2 weekends ago, so I thought it was pretty funny hearing Letitia James' ridiculous chant, and so I was in the car in here, and I kind of made up my own that I thought you would think is pretty funny for her followers.
Oh, please, yeah, because we just had her crazy chant with the crazy people. Sure. Yeah, I don't want to run the clock on you, so I'll let you do your chant, Sarah.
All right, so I think it's to whack, wanna be black, and on crack.
To whack, wanna be black, and on crack.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, that's and on crack. They certainly behave like they're on crack, and they're definitely whack, aren't they?
Yes, they are. And you know what? I know more conservative black people in my town where I work, in my friend circle, and for her to always think, oh, you know, if you're voting, you know, you got to be black, you got to be liberal, and it's just so not true. Everybody's sick of all the crap.
Everybody is getting sick of all the crap, and I tell you, I've a number of black friends in D.C. That are all conservative and you know, good, well-informed, smart, clever, fun conservatives, and they're black, and you know, and all the black people I hang out with voluntarily anyway. There might be one or two that I hang out with involuntarily who are lefties, but that's another discussion for another day. Sarah, you're wonderful. Thank you for the great call. You have a great voice.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.